Hi, I'm Mike from Mike Duffy's Personal Training, and I've created this video for people who are in my 21-day fat loss program, or 21-day reset program, or 6-week body fat challenge. This is a video of the nutrition plan and the science behind our nutrition plan, and it's basically for the people who weren't able to attend in person. So I hope you like the video and the information contained in it, and we hope to see you in the program. Okay, so we're going to discuss the science behind the nutrition plan that we have in store for you guys if you decide to do the 21-day reset program. The 6 keys that I want to teach you have to do with, number 1, controlling your carbohydrates or controlling your sugar intake. All carbs turn to sugar, so we use carbohydrates and sugar interchangeably. They're both the same thing. I pretty much feel no matter what program you follow, whether you follow an Atkins or a vegetarian or Jenny Craig or whatever program you're going to follow, if you do not control your carbs, that program's not going to work for you. And I'll explain to you why. Blood typing, we rely heavily on blood typing because there's certain foods that make people healthy and certain foods that make people miserable. And blood typing is one of the quickest ways to determine, should I eat high fat, high protein, or should I eat low carb or high carb or whatever. So it's the quickest way for us to determine your best macronutrient profile. And we use that with blood typing. I'll go into that in depth. The third one is meal timing. When you eat is just as important as how much you're eating. And I'm going to cover 2 studies that were done that have to do with meal timing, and that pretty much dictates why we have people eat when we have them eat. We talk about gluten, and a lot of people want to know, is this just a fad or is this really something that's important? But we believe it's extremely important not to eat gluten. We'll also discuss cow dairy, and one of the cow dairy proteins, casein, that you really don't want to take in your diet. And our clients, we ask them to maintain cow dairy free when they're on our programs. But I'll explain to you why. We discuss water consumption. Is water important to drink, and how much should I have in order to get the best results? Then the last thing I'll just cover is, we ask people to eat whole foods, things that have one ingredient. So an apple is an apple, chicken's chicken, eggs, broccoli's broccoli. They don't need nutrition labels. It is what it is. That's the best type of food to eat. And if you can make that organic food, that's even better. And we'll cover at the end as to why I feel that's better. So those are the 6 keys, and I'll cover each one in depth. And as I said, the first one, the most important one, is you have to be able to control your carbohydrate consumption. So do you guys know what carbohydrates are? I'm sure you all do, right? So we teach our clients there's 3 types of carbs, and they're all on your sheet. So the first ones are complex carbs or starchy carbs. And just to name a few, if you want to shout some out, do you guys know what they are? Complex carbs, starches? No, spinach isn't. So pasta, definitely. So pasta, any other ones? Rice, bread. Bagels would be considered bread, right? Cereal, potatoes, corn, beans and legumes. Those are all considered complex carbs. A lot of people ask me about beans. We covered this before, that some people think beans are protein, but basically for every gram of protein in a bean, there's usually 2 to 3 grams of carbohydrate. So it's more of a carbohydrate food than a protein food. And for every bean except for one bean, the protein that's in them are incomplete proteins, and your body needs complete proteins to function properly. So it's really not a good source of protein. It's more of a complex carbohydrate. So these foods, these complex carbohydrates, basically what they look like is they're glucose molecules. Do you guys know what glucose is? Sugar, right? So basically what complex carbohydrates is, they're glucose molecules or sugar molecules, and they're all bonded together. So pasta might be 50 glucose molecules, and rice might be 51, and bread might be 49, but they're just a huge amount of sugar waiting to invade your body. And that's what complex carbohydrates are. The next class we teach people, or classification, are fibrous carbohydrates, and these are the better ones. So fibrous carbohydrates are basically all your vegetables. So spinach, kale, broccoli, carrots, all those things. And those are most of your veggies. And what they look like is they're glucose molecules, and they're all bonded together. But maybe there's only 20 of them. Maybe kale's 20, maybe Swiss chard's 21, maybe broccoli's 19. But they're a little less, but they're still just a different amount of sugar waiting to invade your body. And then the third type of carbohydrate are simple carbs. And the healthy ones are fruits. Basically, fruits are simple carbs. The unhealthy ones are your simple sugars and candies and things like that. So basically what simple carbohydrates look like is their glucose molecules, as you can surmise. They're all bonded together, but maybe there's only about 10 of them. Maybe bananas 10, maybe berries are 9, and maybe pineapples 11, but there's less. But all you have to remember is that all carbohydrates, no matter what type they are, net carbs, complex, starchy, fiber, simple, all carbohydrates are just different amounts of sugar waiting to evade your body. And that's what they are. So basically, let's say we have a client and they come in and say, Mike, that I had some organic quinoa as my complex carbohydrate, and I had an organic salad, all different types of organic vegetables, and I threw some organic blueberries and strawberries on the salad, and I had that for lunch. And that all sounds like really good, healthy food. And it is really good, healthy food. So this person will eat that food, and when their body digests it, it breaks down the bonds between all the sugar molecules, and what is released into the system? Sugar, right? So here's their blood vessels, and all those carbs get metabolized into glucose, and the glucose ends up in their bloodstream. And now it's going through the bloodstream, and there's nothing but sugar going through the bloodstream. In the linings of your blood vessels, you have receptors, and they're always monitoring the percentage of glucose or the percentage of sugar in your bloodstream. And when the percentage of sugar or glucose in your bloodstream is too high, these sensors have your body release insulin and over-release insulin to control your blood sugar. You guys all know what insulin is, right? A very powerful hormone. So it signals your body, say, listen, the sugar level in this person's bloodstream is way too high, and if we don't control it, they can go into a diabetic shock, a diabetic coma, or they can die. So it's basically like, we have to save this person's life. So they do that by signaling your body to release and over-release insulin to drive your blood sugar levels down. And that is a good thing. But there's a couple of bad things happen when your body's releasing and over-releasing insulin. The first thing is your body immediately goes into fat storage as a defense mechanism. So if you're on a weight loss program or a fat burning program and you're trying to lose body fat, it's not going to happen if your sugar load or your carbohydrate load is too high or more than what your body can handle. The reason your body goes into fat storage is as a defense mechanism, because if you don't burn off all that excess sugar, you're going to die. So when you exercise and you're in a situation, your body's not going to be burning fat. It says, listen, we have to burn off the sugar so this person doesn't die. So this takes a priority when you're eating too many carbohydrates. So your body goes into fat storage when you're eating too many carbohydrates or more than your system can handle. Not such a good thing, right? So all that food sounded good and eating all healthy things, but this person didn't realize what they were doing to the body. The next thing that happens when your body's releasing and over-releasing insulin, it triggers your hunger and your sugar craving mechanism. And this is all via hormonal. So basically what happens, you have these carbohydrates, your body over-releases insulin, your body goes into fat storage, and then it triggers your hunger and sugar craving mechanism. So what do you usually have? You usually have more carbohydrates. So you eat some more carbohydrates, your body goes back into fat storage, and all of a sudden you get stuck in this vicious cycle. Most people we deal with are stuck in that cycle. They don't even know it. Research shows that when you're in this cycle here, your body releases glucomorphinogenic compounds, which gives your body like a morphine-like addiction to sugar. You become a sugar or carbohydrate addict. So it's an actual thing that happens. Number 3, the word carbohydrate has a word in it, hydrate. So when you eat too many carbohydrates, your body becomes hydrated. For most people, overhydrated. For every gram of carbohydrate that your body stores, it stores 3 grams of water. So when you're eating carbs, you're storing excess water. And what happens is not only you're in fat storage and you're hungry all the time, but you start getting bloated and having excess water. People with high blood pressure, that excess water a lot of times spills into their blood, and then the blood volume increases, which increases internal pressure on your vessels, which increase your blood pressure. So one of the quickest ways to bring blood pressure down, a lot of people think it's salt, but one of the biggest things is reducing your carbohydrate intake, and that will help lower your blood pressure. And number 4, there's always side effects. So you have your high highs and your low lows, and also your energy levels would be also up and down. So some people also, their moods change. So around 4 or 5 o'clock at night, they come home and they start yelling at their spouse or yelling at their kids, and they have this kind of erratic behavior, and that all has to do with their blood sugar levels going up and down, and it will affect your mood also. So when we go back to the beginning, we have this person who ate the healthy salad with the quinoa and the fruit, and they thought they were doing something really good, ended up doing probably the complete opposite of what they wanted to do. So we have found out that when we can get our clients to stay between 30 and 150 grams of carbohydrates a day, we can avoid that. So for the women, we know if we can keep them between 30 and 100, and the men between 30 and 150, we know we can control the blood sugar. So the first thing we want to do is start reducing our carbohydrate load. You can't go to zero carbs. Some people, a lot of us are extremists. We either go from eating way too many to none at all. So you don't want to go none at all. Your brain needs at least 30 grams a day to function properly. So you have to have some. So we just want you to find out what is the lowest amount of carbs I need so that doesn't happen. When you can learn to live on this amount of carbohydrates, your body becomes what's called fat adapted. Have you ever heard of that concept before? Fat adapted? So fat adapted people are people who don't have enough over excess of glucose in their system, and their body will burn fat more efficiently when they're exercising and do other things throughout the day. So our goal for our clients is to get them into a fat adapted phase where their body will rely more on fats for energy than excess sugar. So the first thing we do is, number one, is reduce your carbohydrate levels to that amount. And then number two, the second thing we need to do, even if you just eat that amount of carbs, if you just eat nothing but carbs alone, that can happen. So what we ask our clients to do is that, and this is part of the nutrition program, is that when you do eat the carbohydrates that you're allowed to have in the amount, we ask that you eat that in conjunction with proteins and fats. So eat them together. So combine. So anytime you have a carbohydrate, you want a protein and the fat with it. The reason you do that is when you eat protein. So if this person had the quinoa and the salad with the berries on it, if we gave them like a piece of grilled chicken and put on the salad, or maybe some tuna fish on the salad, your body would break that protein down into ammonium, which is NH3, and amino acids. So now going through your system, you're going to have the byproducts of your protein metabolism. And if you put a healthy fat, maybe use an olive oil-based dressing on the salad, your healthy fats are broken down into free fatty acids and triglycerides. So now this person who ate more of a balanced meal, when everything's digested and all the metabolites start going through the bloodstream, what's going through the bloodstream are all these different things. And your body's sensors, which are built into lining your vessels, are reading what is the percentage of glucose in this person's bloodstream. And here the percentage is not high. It's not 100% like it was before because of being buffered by metabolites from their proteins and fats. So under this situation, we won't get an over-release of insulin. When we don't have that over-release of insulin, your body will not go into fat storage as a defense mechanism. And you won't have these triggers. Your hunger and your sugar craving mechanism won't be triggered, so you won't be hungry and craving sugar all the time. At the same time, you eat less carbohydrates, and you'll store less carbohydrates, so you start getting rid of excess unwanted water. And then the last thing is you're going to notice that your moods are more even keel, and your energy levels are more even keel. You're not going to experience those energy drops at like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So basically we want to lower our carbohydrate intake into acceptable levels for us and make sure that when we do eat carbohydrates, we eat proteins and fats with them. So when we set our meals up on a 21-day reset and our other nutrition plans, we have our nutrition counselors going over with you, okay, this is your protein for breakfast, your fat for breakfast, and your vegetable for breakfast. And that's all done for you. No matter what nutrition plan you follow, if you understand the science behind it, you have to control your carbohydrates. Now, some people do great at 30 grams a day, and some people do great at 150. What determines that? Usually what determines that is your blood type. We know that A blood types, 80% of them, do well up near the upper ends. We know that O blood types do better close to the lower ends. And our Bs and ABs are somewhere in between. So that helps us with the percentage of your carbohydrates and how many carbohydrates you have. So the next one I want to discuss, and again, as I said, I think controlling the carbs is the number one key. The second thing I want to discuss with you is blood typing and why I think that's important. All right, so basically, at one time on the planet, there were only O blood types, thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. And then through genetic mutation, other blood types started showing up. So there was a genetic mutation. The first blood type to show up was an A, blood type A. After that, blood type Bs appeared. And then the last blood type to appear on the planet, which is only about 2,000 years ago, were AB blood types. And these different blood types are all mutated forms of O blood type. So that's why O blood type is considered a universal donor. O's can donate their blood to all the other blood types because these blood types came from the O blood type. However, these blood types can't donate blood back to O blood types because O's do not contain the genetic mutation that's on each one of the blood types. What determines the difference between the blood types, say blood type A, B, O, and AB. The only difference between the blood types, more or less, is the sugar receptors that are on the outside of the red blood cells. So each blood type has a different shaped sugar receptor on the outside of their blood cell. This one squares and oh. So each blood type has a different sugar, and that sugar on the ends of your red blood cells reacts with the foods that you eat. When you eat foods, every food has, most foods, almost all foods, have a certain amount of protein in them. Some have virtually hardly any at all. Some have a lot. But basically, each food has what's called a lectin, which is a protein. And these lectins are like what they look like on the microscope. Is they're all kind of squiggly, but they have binding sites that have different shapes. And if you eat a food that has a binding site that's similar to the sugar on your blood cell, so if this O blood type was here and the food came in the system and they have a round sugar, this lectin will bind to that sugar. And there's different receptor sites all over the lectin, so all these red blood cells will start binding to that lectin. And what that does, it causes a clumping of red blood cells together, and then that causes issues, and it leads to inflammation. And this is research done by Dr. Giordano, who wrote the book on blood typing. So what he did is he did research and found out that if you introduced, say, a steak to each different blood type, there were different chemical reactions that were happening in the different blood types. And he found out that if you're an O blood type, eating steak is medicinal, and it's one of the best things you can do. But you hear people out there like red meat's bad for you, it's high in fat, and all these other things, but not if you're an O blood type. If you're an O blood type and you get your hands on free-range, grass-fed, antibiotic hormone-free beef, which I love, that's going to help keep you lean and give you a lot of energy. And it's not what most people would tell you. The same thing is if you introduce a steak to somebody with an A blood type, they'll have the complete opposite reaction. So one man's food is another man's poison, is a saying, but it rings true when it comes to blood typing, because we know that from research that there's two different reactions here. One's a positive, one's a negative. So what we do in our nutrition plan is we provide each of our clients with a list of foods that are perfect for the blood type. So if you're an A blood type, you get a list of A blood type foods that are good for you, and so on. And we found that this has really not only helped our clients out with weight loss, but with health issues. And I think that's the main reason why we're seeing people's cholesterol go down, and skin rashes going away, and IBS and all these other digestive problems disappearing, because they're eating foods that aren't causing these lectins to bind together, which leads to inflammation and other things in their body that aren't good. This reaction here, which is all binding, is called agglutination. And agglutination does lead to inflammation based on the research that we've been following. So, knowing this, we give you the right foods. We keep the carbohydrate intake down, and then we give you the foods that are best for your blood type. Also, blood typing shows us that A blood types have a very low amount of acid in their stomachs. O blood types have a very high amount of acid in their stomachs. Bs have in between O's and A's, and ABs have in between Bs and ABs. So each blood type, research has shown, has different levels of stomach acidity. O blood types have a very high acidic stomach environment, which helps them breaking down foods that are high in fat and proteins. So we know that if you're an O blood type, you'll do better on a high-fat, high-protein diet. Also, we know that if you're an A blood type with your low stomach acidity, you won't do well on a high-fat, high-protein diet. Your body just can't handle it for most A blood types. And then we have, with the Bs and the ABs, very similar things with how we give them their macronutrient profile percentages, percentage of fats, proteins, and carbs. All this research is done by, as I said, Dr. Peter Adamo, and he has a couple books out. If you're interested, I've listed his book as a reference on the notes that I gave you. But it's excellent information. I've been following it probably for the last 16 years, and myself, and we've been introduced this maybe about 14 years ago into our programs. So it's fairly new based on the 30 years that I've been doing this, and I really think it's one of the best things that people can do. So that's what we'll be doing with the people in the 21-day reset. is we'll be using the blood type. If you don't know your blood type, we can do it for you. We have blood typing kits, or you can call your doctor. 99% of the people we send that want to call their doctors don't have it. So you might want to just do the blood typing kit, or you can buy a home blood typing kit. It takes 5 minutes. So I think these two things alone, if you learn to control your carbohydrates and you learn what your blood type is and follow eating according to your blood type, I think you'll get amazing results as it is. Next thing I want to discuss is number 3, is the timing of your meals. We ask our clients to eat less as the day goes on. Not just eat less, but eat less as the day goes on. Just want to cite two studies and explain to you why we do this. The first study was done, they took a group of people and they gave them a 2,000 calorie breakfast. Come down to this location, you get a 2,000 calorie breakfast. And then what they do is they give them 0 calories for lunch and 0 calories for dinner. At the same time, took another group of people, gave them 0 calories for breakfast, 0 calories for lunch, and a 2,000 calorie dinner. So these 0 calories meals here were like 0 calorie teas, gelatins, and soups. So it would just be enough to get the people through the day. And they ran this for 90 days. They've done this study over and over. And what they found out is every time they run the study, the group that has a 2,000 calorie dinner always gains weight on a whole. The group that has a 2,000 calorie breakfast always loses weight on a whole. So even though both groups are eating the same amount of calories and the same macronutrient profile, you have one group that always loses weight on 2,000 calories and another group that always gains weight on 2,000 calories. So what they surmised from the studies had to do with activity levels. People who eat most of the food during the day, the rest of the day they're moving and grooving, they're working out, they're shopping, they're at school or whatever, but their activity level is much higher than it is at night. And when you're moving around more, your body's systems are operating. It's like your furnace is turned on, and you're able to churn and burn those calories. Where the people eating a 2,000 calorie dinner, after dinner, most people sit down, watch TV, work on a computer, read, 0 activity, then they go to bed and they lay down for 6 to 8 hours, and again, 0 activity. So all those calories sitting on a furnace that's turned off isn't going to really get burnt off. So we tell our clients is that when you eat like this, more as the day goes on, then that's what you're going to look like. You have your hands on your big hips, and then you're walking around. And we want our clients to kind of turn upside down and be the big muscle guy with the better metabolism. So just, by eating a large breakfast and a smaller dinner, you'll immediately start to see results. So that's the first bit of research done on 2,000 calories. The second one, which was done a little more recently, was based on 1,400 calories. And again, they took 1,400 calories. They took 2 groups of people. The first group, they had a 700 calorie breakfast, a 500 calorie lunch, and a 200 calorie dinner. They fed them 3 meals a day. Second group had the opposite, 200 calorie breakfast, 500 calorie lunch, and a 700 calorie dinner. They ran them for, I think it was 12 weeks. And what they found is both groups lost weight because they were on a caloric restricted diet of 1,400 calories. But the group that had a large breakfast lost 2.5 times more fat, along with other positive things going on with their blood chemistry. So as you can see, again, if you looked at the first research study I explained to you, eating less as the day goes on, your body has more of a chance to churn and burn those calories. And even though they're on a calorie restricted diet here, they're more or less, if these guys are losing 2.5 times more fat, these guys are losing some muscle tissue and affecting their metabolism. So taking that stuff into consideration, what we do with our nutrition plan is we give people, for our female clients, we give them breakfast, give them lunch and dinner, and then we give 2 snacks in between. We give them a 400 calorie breakfast, a 300 calorie lunch, and a 200 calorie dinner. So I have them eat less as the day goes on. We superimpose 250 calorie snacks in between breakfast and lunch, and in between lunch and dinner. These are here to stabilize their blood sugar and to increase their metabolism. So they're higher protein, higher fat snacks. For the men, we just add 100 calories per serving. So it's 500, 250, 400, 250, and 300. Eating less as the day goes on. And then what we do is, if your breakfast is at 7 a.m., we try to get you in about every 3 hours. Snack at 10, lunch at 1, another snack at 4, dinner at 7. Can you eat after 6 o'clock at night? Sure you can, as long as it's the smallest meal of the day. Your body can metabolize that lower amount of calories late at night. And then if you do have breakfast at 7, we give our clients a 2-hour leeway, 3 to 5, on those meals there, because we know sometimes you're busy at work and you can't get right on track at 10 o'clock, but you can get one in at 9 or 11. So you have like a 2-hour window in there. The biggest thing we want to teach our clients is that by 5 o'clock at night, we want 80% of your calories that you're consuming for the day before 5 o'clock at night. So if we go 400 calories, 150, 300, 150, we add those up, it's 1,000 out of 1,200 calorie total. Before 5 o'clock, you're going to have results. And especially if you're controlling your carbs and eating according to your blood type, then you're going to have super results. So a lot of people say, Mike, I can't live on a 200 calorie dinner, but you will. Once you start increasing your food here, you'll be less hungry here. You know? So that's really, really important. You'll see that as that happens. For your first week, your computer's been set, your brain's been set. You wake up in the morning, have a cup of coffee, you run out the door, you grab a quick lunch, and 5 o'clock at night you come home and you're charged and you're starving, and your body's giving you all kinds of signals to eat and eat and eat. So once you start eating this way, 5 o'clock, you're going to get that signal from your body to start eating again for the first 3 to 5 days, because your computer's been running for so long. But it's going to take 3 to 5 days to break that. And after you follow this that period of time, all of a sudden that hunger starts disappearing around 5 o'clock. And the hunger starts happening here where we want it. We want you hungry here, not here. A lot of people say, Mike, I wake up in the morning, I can't eat 400 or 500 calories. I'm just not hungry. Well, there's 2 reasons you wouldn't be hungry. First reason is a lot of people have a 1,000-calorie buffet here, and it's still sitting on them in the morning. So, of course, they're not going to be hungry. So, again, as we start reducing dinner, we're going to create hunger here. Now, the second thing is some people go through this whole first 3 to 5 days and get through it. And they still can't have that big breakfast here. They're just not hungry. And for about 20% of people out there, that's going to happen to you. There are certain types of people, when they wake up, they have to start moving before the furnace gets turned on. So for those people, say, listen, just grab a snack here at 7 o'clock and have that big breakfast there at 9 to 11. And that works out fine. Because your system's up and running, you get hungry maybe 2 or 3 hours later, and you're still getting 80% or more of your calories before 5 o'clock at night. Another option you can do is some people say, Mike, I want to have dinner with my family at 5. So you can move dinner up here and then take that snack later. And that's fine, because that's even less calories after 5 o'clock at night. So there's 2 options there. So you choose whichever one will work with you. But the key is, again, is to eat less as the day goes on. What time is the best time to work out? So my answer is, don't worry about what the best time is, just get in the habit of working out. Some people work out best early in the morning. Some people work out best at night. I know people work hard all day long, and they commute from the city, come home 7 o'clock at night, they're dying. They have no energy, they can't do it. So for those people, I'd suggest they get up a little earlier, do it in the morning. Everybody's different. Myself, I work out 7 in the morning, but it's not the best time for me. It's what fits in my schedule, but my body feels better if I work out like at 2 in the afternoon. So I have to do what works for my schedule at this point in my life. Did that answer your question? Okay, cool. All right, so next we want to go to is I want to teach you about gluten. Everybody's heard about gluten and gluten-free, and people want to know, is it a fad or is it something I really should consider? You see gluten-free Chinese food, you see gluten-free pizza out there now. My daughter went to college at Penn State, that whole gluten-free cafeteria. It's not a fad. I think more and more people are realizing that when they eat this, it's not making them feel well. So basically, what I want to teach you is that gluten is a protein, and not only is it a protein, it's a very powerful lectin. And if you remember when we discussed in blood typing before, lectins cause red blood cells to accumulate together and they agglutinate, stick together, which can lead to inflammation and disease. So gluten is protein. It's found in wheat product, wheat, barley, and rye. And even though wheat products are complex carbohydrates, and they contain a very small amount of protein, that small amount of protein, or gluten, is a very powerful lectin, and has been shown to cause inflammation in the human digestive tract. So, my bottom ribs here, top of my pelvis is here, and in between here and here I have yards and yards and yards of intestines, small intestines, large intestines. And 90% of my food is digested and absorbed in my small intestine, along with the majority of my immune system, all lies in here. So it's very important that that stay healthy and functioning properly. What gluten will do, just to show you a little diagram, this is the inside of your small intestines that are all in here. That tube, it's a cylindrical tube that runs all through your body here. And inside of that tube, you have these finger-like projections all the way around, 360 degrees. And on the end of these finger-like projections, there are different shaped receptor sites for different nutrients that your body needs to absorb through the environment in order to create energy, create new cells, and to have health. These finger-like projections are called villi, and on the end of the finger-like projections, there are small hair-like projections called microvilli, and the microvilli and villi both contain receptor sites for different nutrients. And just to teach you how it works, let's just say we ate some kale, your body broke it down, and calcium was released, and let's say calcium has a square molecule, and that calcium will float through your small intestines, and it will look for a square receptor site or a square binding site, and it will find it on one of the villi or microvilli, wherever it is. It finds it, and that square molecule fits into that binding or receptor site, and then that calcium is uptaken through the villi and goes right into your bloodstream. And now calcium will float through your body and go to where it's needed by your body. It's used for muscle contraction, and it's also used to build strong bones and other things. So when your small intestines have no inflammation or working properly, that's how your body operates. So all different types of vitamins and minerals and things like that, and amino acid complexes. However, we know that when people eat gluten or wheat products and they have gluten in their system, gluten will inflame the villi and the microvilli, and long term, it actually singes off the microvilli, the hair-like projections, and kind of just burns them off. And you lose those receptors sites for the rest of your life, and then you have trouble absorbing calcium and minerals and other nutrients. So when this all becomes inflamed, these microvilli, these finger-like projections, it's like if I took a hammer and I slammed it down as hard as I can with my thumb, it becomes big and red and inflamed. And that's what goes on in your gut. Now, if you have that inflammation in your gut, which most of us do and don't even realize it, is that when you do eat food and you break it down and that calcium's floating through and it's looking for that square receptor site, that square receptor or binding site's not square anymore. It becomes convoluted and misshaped. And now your body can't absorb calcium because the receptor sites aren't the same shape as what is needed. And now what happens to your calcium at this point is if the receptor sites are inflamed and the morphology of the shape has changed, the calcium just flows through your system and starts ending up places where you don't need it, like overcalcification of your arteries, arteriosclerosis, things like that, or it can be discovered in kidney stones. So these are some things that happen. 25% of people who take calcium supplements develop kidney stones. So what that basically tells me is that there's a problem here with inflammation in the gut, and they can't absorb the calcium they're taking, so it's going to end up in a place where it doesn't belong. So what we like to do is we like to keep our gut functioning well so we can digest, absorb nutrients, and build new and healthy cells and create energy and have all those good things happening on our program. So what we do, knowing this information, is we delete gluten from our clients' programs. And when they do, all of a sudden things start going really, really well. At the same time, the next one, we take cow dairy. Is one of the healthy kids. We delete cow dairy from their programs. Cow dairy contains a couple different proteins. One is whey, which is fine for some people. The other one is casein. And casein is an amino acid or a protein complex that humans can't digest. It just has been shown. It will take you 2 to 4 hours to digest carbohydrates. It will take you 4 to 6 hours to digest proteins and fats. Research shows that after 14 hours in the human digestive tract, casein doesn't even begin to digest. So what happens, it just gets caught up in your intestines and sits here and it kind of putrefies and rots. It's like a toxic chemical dump site. It just sits there and eventually leaks out into your system, and it causes different types of reaction in different people. At the same time, casein won't cause this inflammation in their digestive tract, but it actually makes the inflammation worse. It's like putting gasoline on a fire. It just blows it up. So knowing that, we like to delete both casein and gluten from our clients' nutrition plans. If you look at the handouts I gave you, we have casein-free or what we call healthy dairy alternatives there for you. And then we also have gluten-free alternatives for you also. The one thing I need to caution people is you have to be careful with gluten-free alternatives because gluten-free alternatives are usually high in carbohydrates and when you have too many of them, then your carb load gets too high. It's just that when you decide you're going to have that type of starch in your diet, you have to make sure it's gluten-free, which we'll discuss later on in the second seminar that's scheduled for this program at the end. So if we can delete these two, everything's fine. Give that there. Is there any questions about gluten or casein? Have anybody ever heard about this stuff before? Or? Yes? Good. Yes, Paul?
I've heard there's two types of casein, and one type, casein 2, I think it is not so bad, and it's only in a certain kind of cow.
Yeah,
it's not the cow that's in our dairy or in the U.S.
That's a great question, yes. Okay, so the problem with casein not being able to be digested, about 5,000 to 10,000 years ago, certain types of cows that were in Europe went through a genetic mutation where the casein amino acid complex mutated into a 224 chain amino acid complex, which is just too big for humans to break down. And this happened in Holsteins and Friesian cows, which are the only cows that are here in America. So you're going to get that mutated form of casein in those cows. However, in Europe, there are certain breeds of cows. There's 1 or 2 different breeds, and I don't know the name of them, but they do not contain that mutated casein, and that their cow dairy is fine. Over here, there's no way to know if you're going to get it or not. So these that contain the mutation are considered A1 type cows, which Paul was referencing. The ones without the mutation were A2 type cows. At one time in California, there's the A2 dairy farm, where they only produced milk, cheese, yogurt from A2 cows. But they didn't get enough business from us, and they went out of business and are no longer there. So we really don't know what we're getting here. And when we know we're getting here, we're getting the mutated form. This is why we ask our clients here to stay off it. But in Europe, there are certain types of cows that you can have their dairy, and especially if it's organic, it's fine. But we're dealing with what we have here. And one of the prime examples is with the casein thing in the dairy is that a lot of people say that Greek yogurt is so healthy for you, but it's not if you're buying it here, because it's coming from, as Paul said, from an A1 cow that has a genetic mutation, and that casein is not going to be the best thing for you. However, if you switch here over to goat's milk yogurt, that would be fine, because goat's milk yogurt doesn't contain the cow dairy casein. It has its own casein, which is much shorter and easier to digest, similar to some of the A2 cows that are in Europe at this point. So in Greece, if you buy Greek yogurt, it's most likely from a sheep or a goat, or an A2 cow.
How can you tell going gluten-free works? And when you do it, you have to be completely, don't touch anything that has, you have to do it like
Yeah.
or
Okay, yeah. So when it comes to gluten, people have different types of sensitivity. Some people, as soon as they have it, they have a bad reaction, almost like an anaphylactic reaction, where you need an EpiPen, and it's boom, and it's there. So that's like a type 1 reaction, which you have it, right? So those people have to maintain gluten-free 100% all the time. Most people have what's called, I call it type 2, which is that it just causes a small amount of damage over time. A little damage in your teens, in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, and all of a sudden, in your 50s, you get your diagnosed with diverticulitis or IBS, or one of those digestive disorders. So that long-term damage. But one of the best ways to go is to take 6 months to clear gluten completely out of your system. So if you can go 100% gluten-free for 6 months, and then reintroduce it afterwards, and then watch the reaction that you get from your body. A lot of people say, oh my God, I feel this rumbling in my stomach. I feel this bloating feeling. They never knew before, because before that was your normal feeling. And when you take that away, reintroduce, all of a sudden, oh yeah, I used to feel like that all the time. So that's one way to go about it. And some people don't need to go a full 6 months. Some people go a month and take it out and then reintroduce it and then see how you feel. So that was a good question, but everybody's a little different. If you have digestive disorder, digestive issues, IBS, then definitely not. I mean, I've dealt with a handful of people who came to me that had IBS, and we taught them this, and they eliminated it, and within 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks, they were feeling great. They had no more issues. So it's one of the best things you can do if you have any, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, any of those digestive disorders. Also, up in the upper GI, the esophagus, and things along with that. Most of the time you want to stay away from those types of foods also. Okay, so just to repeat everything, we reduce our carbohydrate intake, we eat according to our blood type, we eat less as the day goes on. We exclude gluten and casein and use our healthy alternatives instead if we need to. And then the last thing I want to discuss is just drinking water and fluids and what you need to do. So everybody's heard out there that you need to drink 8-ounce glasses of water a day, right? So is that the right amount? Do you think it's the right amount? Okay. So if you have 8-ounce glasses a day, it equals 64 ounces. So what we teach our clients is that we want them to drink half their body weight in ounces a day. So if you weigh 128 pounds, you need 64 ounces a day. So that's 8-ounce glass a day is fine if you weigh around 128 pounds. If you weigh 200 pounds, you need 100 ounces a day. If you weigh 250, you need 125 ounces a day, and so on. So we know that the human body is anywhere from 70 to 75% water, and a 250-pound person is going to lose more water throughout the day through excretion or sweating or through cellular respiration than a person who weighs 128 pounds or a person who weighs 110 pounds. So these people have to replace more water because they have more water in them. 70% water if somebody's 250 is almost, is more than twice the amount of water as somebody who weighs 110. So the more you weigh, the more water you need to replace. The reason why we ask people to drink the amount of water we ask them to drink is for two reasons. Number one is for energy. Water is involved in almost every energy reaction in your body. So when you're drinking the right amount of water, you're instantly going to realize or feel that, wow, I have so much more energy without increasing your caloric intake. It's pretty amazing. The reason you have more energy is your cells have small organs in them called organelles. So there's respiratory organelles in there and digestive and other ones that produce energy. And when this is properly hydrated, everything works fine. It's like a motor that's finely tuned, has the right type of gas in it, an oil, and everything runs well. However, if you're constantly dehydrated and not drinking enough water, those cells kind of get all clogged up and they can't function properly. It's kind of like if you've ever seen a reservoir in the middle of August when it's really hot and it's dried up and it's kind of all mucky in the bottom of that reservoir. Well, that's how your cells get when not properly hydrated. So they have trouble producing energy because they can't work properly. The second thing is it's the best way to eliminate toxins from your body. So we all have toxins in our body. I have them, you guys have them, we all have them. If you're just breathing the New Jersey air, you have toxins in your system. If you eat foods that are not organic, prepackaged, chemical preservatives, you have toxins. And even if you eat organic, some organic farmers use certain chemicals that are more environmentally friendly, more human friendly, in order to keep bugs off their vegetation. So there is some of that coming in there also. So we all have toxins. Majority of the toxins are stored in your body's fat cells. And when you lose weight, your fat cells become smaller, and what comes out? The toxins are released. As those fat cells get smaller, not so much room for everything in there, toxins are released. When toxins are released in your system, your body can, react by getting a cold or getting a runny nose or some type of reaction. So we know that if you're on a fat loss program and you're eating properly and your fat cells are reducing, those toxins spill out. So we want to make sure that you drink enough water so you can help your body relieve and get rid of those toxins. If you've ever gotten a massage before, your massage therapist, when you're done, your massage therapist usually offers you a bottle of water or a cup of water. And the reason they're doing that is because they know that when they're massaging you for the hour or 90 minutes, and they're massaging your muscles, but everybody has a certain amount of fat covering their muscles. So they're also massaging your fat cells or kneading your fat. And as they're massaging your fat cells, what's spilling out are the toxins that are in there. And then your body's going to start reacting to it. And if they give you some water afterwards, they know that's going to help to relieve those toxins and help clear them from your system. When I get a massage and I'm laying face down, as soon as I start getting a massage, within like 5-10 minutes, my nose starts running. It just starts dripping. It's kind of embarrassing. And that's just my body's reaction to the toxins that are being spilled out. And if I have my water after my massage, within 5 minutes, I'm clear. It's amazing. It's really, really amazing. So you want to make sure you drink enough water. It's really important to try to work your way up. And now, if you're not used to drinking that much, just want to increase it by maybe 5 ounces a day until you get to the point where you need to be. And it will do wonders for you. You'll feel so much better, and you'll be so much healthier. When it comes to liquids, we allow our clients to drink water, of course, number one, but they can have club soda, which would be fine. We allow them to have 1 cup of coffee a day, which is fine, or any type of teas as long as they're not unsweetened, as long as they are unsweetened. What's that? Yeah, it's fine. Yep. Yeah, just let me know when to start. Oh, thanks, man. We don't use almond milk for fluids. Might want to use that in cooking or for cereal, but we wouldn't really have any cereal in this program. It wouldn't be until after 21 days. So, you know, club soda, of course, water majority, club soda, herbal teas or green tea, and 1 cup of coffee per day. So those are fluids that you're allowed to have. There's two companies. There's a company called Hint, H-I-N-T, and they put out Hint water. And what they do is they put out water with a slight flavor in it. So there's like strawberry kiwi, or there might be a berry. I think there's blackberry. I think there's an orange peach. But what they do is they use fresh fruit flavoring, not imitation. So there's really no sugar in it. It just gives a hint of flavor, which is good for a lot of people. So I recommend that if you can't drink water straight, which I know some people have issues with, you might want to add lemon to your water or try Hint water. There's other companies that put flavored waters out, but there's sucralose in them, and there's other fake sugars and things that aren't really good for you. So I would personally recommend Hint water. They also make a club soda, which is the same thing, and there's a company called LaCroix that makes a club soda. Similar thing. They just put natural flavorings in from real fruit and not fake flavorings in. So those would be fine also. Basically just trying to cut your sugar load, and that's why we have you do that. So those are the fluids you're allowed to have. Then the last thing I explain to my clients is that your mother's told you, my mother told me, you are what you eat, right? You definitely are what you eat. So your body's constantly making new cells every minute of the day. Millions of red blood cells. It makes liver cells and immune system cells, brain tissue cells, muscle tissue, hair. It's constantly replicating. Every 7 years you have a new set of cells. Where do you think your body gets the raw constituents to make a new brain cell or a new heart muscle cell? It just doesn't reach out from thin air and says, I'm going to make it from this. It makes it from the food that you put in your mouth. So when you eat foods, it goes down through your mouth and into your stomach and through your small intestines, where your body sucks all the nutrition out of that food and then uses that nutrition to build new cells. So if you're eating foods that are very high in nutrition, very low in toxins, your body's going to produce healthy cells, strong immune system cells that can fight disease, and strong bone cells that can not be frail when you're older, and all these other great things. So when you eat whole foods that have low toxins and high nutrition, you're going to build the healthiest body you can. And that is one of the reasons why I believe in eating organic, because when you do eat organic, you'll have more nutrition, and number one. Number two, you have less toxins. So it's not like a whole kind of religious thing with me. It's just, I want to reduce my toxic load for me, my wife, my family. So for the last 16 years, or maybe more, 99% of food that comes in our household is organic. We have been cow dairy free and gluten free for the same time period. And we're all O blood types, so we eat a lot of red meat and a little bit of vegetables, because that's what makes us run. And we don't have weight issues, don't have health issues, and I can't speak enough personally about eating like that. This spring, we built a vegetable garden in our backyard with organic mushroom soil. And we used wood that wasn't chemically treated. And we built this little organic garden, and we started growing zucchini and kale and spinach. And what was great about it is that we want to take another level. Instead of buying organic produce, I started learning that even organic produce, some people were using herbicides and pesticides on them that were more friendly, but still, they're chemicals. So we decided to do that, and we built a 8 foot by 3 foot garden, and it produced a lot of vegetables, and it just took us up another level. And I know this spring I'm going to build 2 more beds and build more. So while we don't eat a lot of vegetables, the ones we do have, I want them to be as clean as possible. So I can't really say enough good things about that. So, just think before you put something in your mouth, is this the best food I can have? Is this organic? Is this a whole food? Is this going to give me health and wellness, or is this going to break my system down? So it's not only about weight loss, about more or less, even to me, as I get older, it's more about my health and trying to stay as healthy as I can for as long as I can. And that's what this eating program is about. And I really believe in it wholeheartedly, and we have a lot of testimonies from other people who feel the same way. And I really feel that if you do follow it, you'll get great results from it. The last thing I'll discuss with you guys is about the 21-day program and what it entails. but pretty much, yes. I'm going to be done in 5 minutes, dear. So the 21-day program, you get a 1-hour nutrition consultation. Since you've been to the seminar, you understand the science behind the program. Now it's like, Mike, that sounds great, but what do I eat, right? So during that 1-hour nutrition consultation, your nutrition counselor, we have 10 trainers here are certified HLC level 1, which is holistic life coaching, and they've been through the plan, our program, how we want our clients to eat, and we're all on the same page. So during that 1-hour nutrition consultation, your nutrition counselor will go with you, okay, this is what you do for breakfast, and they'll give you 3 different samples of what to have for breakfast for your blood type. 3 for lunch, 3 for dinner, 3 different snacks. And they'll teach you how to put your nutrition, each of your meals together. And you'll be given charts. You'll be emailed a manual that has your charts in it, the blood type foods you can have, and all the information on our program. And then you have 24/7 access to that nutrition counselor, or me if you want, where you can call, email, or text. We prefer that you text and email, but emergencies, definitely give them a call. Questions about, well, I'm not so sure if I can have this, or this wasn't on the list, but can I have this, and does this fit better for a snack or lunch? So you're going to have a lot of questions. So with our coaching program, since we've added that in a couple years ago, our results for our clients have really taken another level up. So we ask our clients to definitely take advantage of that and do as many questions as you can. We want you to learn how to eat properly so you never have to go through this again. So you know for the rest of your life what you need to eat and how much and how it goes. Your counselor will also teach you what's called the 2-hour rule. We teach our clients to eat and then assess how they feel within 2 hours. And we give you a list of symptoms. If you have any of these symptoms on the list, you have to text your nutrition counselor and say, hey, I have this symptom. And then they're going to go, okay, what did you eat today, how much, when? And they're going to find out and teach you what caused that symptom. And they're going to know, wow, every time I eat strawberries, I get a rash. I never knew that before. Or every time I have chicken, my stomach feels upset. And you're going to understand why. So we want to start teaching you how to read your body and how to eat the rest of your life. And we want to teach you a program that is going to be probably one of the best things you've ever learned. Right. And when it comes to meals, for the 21-day program, it's pretty strict. And we ask our clients to have a protein, a healthy fat, and a vegetable at each meal. Now, some people are going to have a lot of protein, a little bit of vegetable. Some people a lot of vegetable, a little bit of protein, and other people in between. But that's covered in that 1-hour nutrition consultation. 80% of the results will come from right here. It has nothing to do with exercise. I'm a personal trainer, and I'm almost ashamed to say it. But 80% of the results are going to come from how well you adhere to the nutrition plan. And then if we can get you moving, the results will be compounded. We've had clients, 6-week program in the spring, we had a client who had an electrical issue with his heart, and he was scheduled for an ablation where they go up and cauterize a node so it wouldn't misfire, and his heart rhythm would go back to normal and be out of AFib, so he couldn't exercise. Doctor said, you cannot exercise till after you have this. So he went through our 6-week program, didn't exercise once, and lost 36 pounds. And had amazing health results besides that. So I tell my clients, it's like, if you can nail this, you're fine. And if you have an injury, or if you feel you can't do a boot camp class, anybody can walk 10 minutes a day, or 10 minutes every other day. You just got to start moving. Because I said 80% of it's here. And the more you're walking and doing low-level activity, within 3 weeks, you're going to get more and more fit, and they're going to be able to handle a regular workout. I've had people go through the 6-week program, or even a 3-week program, where day 1, they couldn't handle boot camp class, but day 21, they were doing a full hour. So let the diet take control and ease into the training, the workouts. If you haven't been working out at all, go slow. I don't want one of those old too much too soon injuries come back where that old back or knee injury is going to kick up because you're working out every day and you haven't worked out in 3 or 4 years. So you want to ease yourself into fitness. However, if you've been a workout buff and you're working out a lot, just keep coming and do as many boot camps classes as you can. So that's it on the program with an explanation of nutrition behind it. You know, how we run the nutrition end and the training end's easy. The program starts Monday. You'll come in, we'll schedule a weigh-in for you, weigh you, we'll do a body fat test on you, show you how much muscle you have and how much fat you have. And at the end of 3 weeks, we schedule for a second test, and we want to see the fat coming down and the muscle going up. We want to see you building your metabolism, losing body fat. And then we'll provide you with a copy of both, and you'll have your results there. And if you need an explanation, we'll do that for you. So that's what we do. And at the end of the 3-week program, we schedule an exit seminar where we discuss, okay, I did really well, and what do I do now? Some people want to keep losing, so we'll discuss how to do that. And some people are going to say, listen, I feel great, I want to maintain, and we'll discuss how to do that. And that's what our 21-day program is about.